we're here with the coach and captain of the Malditas, Coach Ernie Nieres, and the captain, Mariel Benitez. And we were wondering if we could ask you about, firstly, because a lot of the new fans to football haven't really heard as much about the Malditas as they have as the Azkals. And so, could you tell us how you did in the last competition we were just talking about is the equivalent as a Suzuki Cup, which is every year for the women's football. So how was that competition? How did that go for you guys?
We ended up third in our group and then fourth in the whole tournament. We were in the kind of like in the group of death.
Yeah.
Where the two teams that ended up in the championships, namely Thailand and Myanmar, and then we also had Malaysia in that group.
I think it was good because it was the first time that the team got together after 2008. So
right.
They disbanded the team, and then it was pretty much a whole new team. We only had 5 seniors in the team, and the rest were like rookies for international tournament.
Excellent. And what have you guys got coming up at the moment? What's the next tournament for you?
Well, we have the AFF Women's Championships again this coming September. We're leaving on September 12th to the 22nd, and then we're going to the U.S. for the LA Vikings Cup.
And who will be competing in that one? It's quite far.
Yeah, LA Vikings Cup. We're actually going to be playing Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who's number what? 7?
Number 7 in the world.
In the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and New Zealand. We're going to be playing New Zealand also. But New Zealand's going to be a friendly, and Canada's going to be in our group.
Right. Wow, it's going to be a difficult game, I guess, but it's going to be a really good experience.
Yeah.
One thing that we've been noticing as well is that women's football has been improving a lot over the last few years too. How has the landscape of football changed over the last few years over women's football?
Well, actually, it's kind of started in 2008 when we brought in the U16 and the U19. And then in 2010, we brought in the U14 and hosted the AFC. Women's U16 and U19. So this is our second hosting. What people don't notice is the women's actually have been hosting AFC qualifiers, which are big tournaments. So hopefully in the near future we'll be able to host more tournaments, especially with the new field that we're getting with Rizal, and then hopefully we'll be able to build more fields. But there's a push right now for women's football with the new president we have to actually host a lot of these women's and under age programs and competitions.
And on a more personal level, as the captain of the team, how have you seen the changes in Philippine football over the last year?
I think there are more girls who are getting interested in playing football, and there's more competition for them. When I started, there wasn't any youth teams, so there wasn't any U16 or U19, so it was either you make it to the seniors team or not. So at least now, you can see that there's grassroots, so girls can start playing for the national team at U14 or U13, U16, U19. And it's good because being in the senior team, there's a few girls from the U19 have started moving up to the seniors team, so there's a lot of potential. And I think if you are able to keep that team together, then eventually in the next few years, the women's national team will be very strong.
I think even Bertha, you started with the U19, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you started out, Roy, saying that, finally women's football is arriving. I think for girls like Marielle and I, it's always been there.
Yeah.
We've been playing, it's been our life since we were, 7, 8, 9, and it's only now that, I guess, with social media, with the Azkals, everyone's starting to play it just for fun.
Yeah.
Because before, even up to 3 years ago, it was so hard to find weekend pickup games with other girls. It would always be you'd be 2 girls with all the other guys. But actually now, if you look for other girls to play on the weekends, you'll actually find
now there are teams, and it's not the same girls over and over again.
Like you're finding out, there's one team practicing in this village and in that village, and it's a lot of fun. I'd like to ask how long has the women's national team been in existence?
Per se, or
I'm wondering. What year was it formed, and when did they start joining international competitions? Because it's pretty.
Yeah, I think the first team was with Christy Ramos.
Yeah,
I think
way
82,
back.
I think 82, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, 82.
So it's been there.
It's been there.
Yeah.
But I think when Tita Ernie came in 2005, that was pretty much when the team was really organized. From that time all the way to today, that there was really a a committee or a management that would be backing up the national team. So I remember 2005, that's when the Philippines hosted the Southeast Asian Games, and you know, the team got together. We had the the seniors back then. That was a pretty strong team, and eventually
7 months of training.
That's right, and you know, we were really camped out and stuff. So I think that started the trend of how the national team should be, and eventually, like until today, you know, we try to follow that kind of training, and now it's not just our coach, no, there's actually a women's committee that's already supporting him for women's football.
That's great, and as you were mentioning with the grassroots as well, I think the under-16s and under-19s they're ongoing with tryouts. What are you mostly looking for with the players? What could you say to the newer players who are looking to try out for the teams?
Well, right now it's a working process. Even though we have the structure in place, we're still trying to make sure that we reach out, especially to the provincial players. There's still a lot of talent out there, and we don't have the infrastructure to reach out. The good thing with women's football is once you get to the 16 to 19 age, which is basically once fourth year going into college, most of them have moved or are moving or moved to Manila ready to go into UAAP schools. So with that, we actually don't have to go too far to look for players for the U19 and the senior team. But it's still it's not good enough. You know, there's a lot of talent out there. The good thing with this team right now, they're actually the product of the U16, U19, and the senior team. Most of them have migrated from one age group to the other. I've always kind of felt with Bertha being unlucky with injuries. You know, 2005 she got injured.
Yeah.
2 years ago she was coming back. She played in the weekend. I heard about it, and then she
Came back with an ACL.
And I was talking to her about playing again and everything, and just Tito, I tore my ACL.
But no, like this is because I think this is the problem with women's football. Like unless you're in a UAAP team, you don't really have consistent training and tournaments to stay fit for. So what happens is, you know, you get to play with the boys, and sometimes you're not that fit, and that's usually when the injuries happen. So I guess that lull from, let's say, 2008, from the time I graduated, and then the team wasn't really formed. So like, you know, you're there, you're not playing with your school team, you're starting to bum around and, you know, not play, and there's nothing really to look forward to football wise at the time. So until, you know, 2011, we were preparing for this AFF. So I think like there are a lot of opportunities now that weren't available to a lot of female footballers, let's say 3-4 years ago.
That's right.
And like Marielle is just, you know, she's really lucky to have stayed with the team. And
I had to convince her out of retirement. I said, no, you're not done. You are not done.
And also, like, I guess understanding parents that tell her, go, play, and, you know.
I mean, I think I've been fortunate that I'm still part of the team that's going through the transition now, especially after they disbanded the 2008 team. And then we were on break. And then part of the team now that, you know, that just started last year. So right now, you know, with all the tournaments coming up, all these clubs coming up for girls, you know, it's like what she was saying, that there weren't any games then. So now with a cup, with a league, I think it's giving the girls now an opportunity to keep playing throughout the year and eventually, I mean, stay fit to prepare you when you start training with the national team.
And it was, you know, at that time, 2008, I can actually take part of the blame in that. I purposely stopped the women's national team because I didn't see a structure in place. That's why I said we have to develop the U16 and the U19 instead of just, and what they used to do is, you know, they'll get an announcement 3 weeks before a tournament or a couple of a month, and then they'll just get together, start training from scratch, and you know, that's hard for them. So at least now we have a league that's in place. Not only that, you have the underage programs, all the way to the under 13. The under 13 started this year. Okay, so now you have that continuous structure. And then, which is something that they didn't have during their time, is a league after they finish college.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most important thing. And I felt so bad for them. And we actually started the league during that time, and it was called the Liga Pilipina. Okay, we started that, then that was supposed to bridge over, but then, you know, we didn't have the proper leadership structure in the PFF at that time. That was our biggest problem. Now we do. You know, and I've been to 3 presidents and 5 gensecs, so I guess I know. Now we have a president is 100% committed. So big difference in a year, just because of what he did as far as commitment to the women's program. We were able to do so much, and that's what we've been clamoring for a long time. And now we have it. Now no more excuses. He supports you. You have the funding, so now we have to perform.
Absolutely. And for some of the newer fans, for the last question, we've just got to ask, why did you guys decide to call yourselves the Malditas? I'm sure you get that asked a few times, but for newer fans,
I think it started out in 2005. That bunch of girls was described by Coach Ernie as the Malditas. I think because the bunch of girls back then were feisty, you know, we'd say mga palaban on and off the pitch. So I think that's how we got the Malditas.
I'll describe them to you.
I was trying to be that
girl version. This is
that basically came from, ano ba itong mga maldita na to? Doon galing yan. You have them in camp, and then I have some girls. They're in camp, so you're fighting hard and everything. They'll bring in the big cushions, the yayas. Okay? I say, oh my God.
That's just electric fans.
Okay. And
I
then,
just brought food.
And I'm getting into that. At night, they'll disappear. And then you go, Tito, you want donuts? And also,
With pasalubong.
kind of gross. Okay. I mean, in the morning, they'll wake up and they'll play really hard.
Yeah.
But they're still very Filipina. That's still very feminine. So that was the best description I could ever come up with. You know, not because I was pissed, but I was thinking, you know, who'll be. And funny thing is, the CF Madrid players, when they found out, they liked the shirt. They were asking for the shirts. Oh, Malditas, yeah, it's a good name. So I don't know why it's controversial here. The Spanish people like it. So.
Well, thanks very much, guys. Oh,
one thing though, I really like about the hashtag of Mariel always. Whenever there's a competition, there's a battle in bleed.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
From him, of course. Who else? I think it's good. It stuck out with the team. You know, this was last year. It was our battle cry. We were going through severe, very difficult training. I mean, we had a training session that lasted for 3 hours. We had
With ice cream.
With ice cream. So we had like a first phase of training that was hard. So it was like hard, harder, hardest, and then he makes you rest. Makes everyone eat ice cream, thinking that it was okay, and then he gives us pain. So after the 2-hour training session, he gives you ice cream, and then he makes you do a Cooper test. So yeah, so
protein.
yeah, so just carbs and sugar, and so you know, he would always say, if you bleed it out in training, you know, it will definitely help you and carry on when you battle.
Yeah.
And so from there, it carried on with the team, you know, battle and bleed for each one in training and in the tournament. And I think every time we say it, it already hypes the team. Even on Twitter, you know, when there's a game, there's competition, it's always battle and bleed. With the Malditas.
that's really cool. And thank you, Mariel. Thank you, Coach Ernie. For more information on the Malditas, for more information on the women's football, the Women's Super League coming up, you can check us out at FTW Sports.